Hello, my name's Billy, and thank you for listening to my story. Going back to my childhood, at about 10 years of age, I grew up in a very Catholic orientated environment. I read a lot of books as a child. Particularly, I enjoyed reading books about saintly guys who seemed to communicate with God. This intrigued me, that they were able to talk to a God who was out there. Around that time, I considered becoming a priest because I was so intrigued, and I felt that the only way to reach God was by becoming a priest. And at the same time, that required celibacy, which I didn't want to do. I felt like that I had let God down and turned my back on God by refusing to become a priest. I always believed in God, but he was somebody who was very distant, and I didn't understand the whole means of communication. I continued being religious, going to church and doing my duty as I felt, and felt that I would, try and do good to earn my way into heaven. I remember standing up in the Catholic Mass one day, and what got me, I think it was one of those periods when God was speaking to me, that the priest said, "Let us give thanks to the Lord our God," and everybody said in very monotone voices, "It is right and fitting to give thanks and praise." Something hit me, and I thought, what am I saying here? I'm just saying words, they don't mean anything to me. And I just looked up to the sky and thought, I can't do this anymore. And I looked up to heaven and I said, "Please show me what is right." And I walked away from church that day. A couple of years later, I got involved in transcendental meditation, which was basically Eastern mysticism. That brought me down a dark road for a period of about 6 months, where I felt I was going into myself. I was being really challenged in relation to my life, and the way it was going, it wasn't working out. Football wasn't working out in my life because it didn't give me the answers. I felt all through those years there's something missing inside, there's something lacking, and I didn't quite know what I was looking for. A chance encounter with an old friend of mine who had gone to the UK from Ireland, and she had been on drugs from the time she was 11 till now she was 20, and her life was a total mess. She needed help. I brought her to friends of hers, old school friends of hers, who took her in, and there was something about their eyes. They radiated something, and they radiated a peace which nobody can explain it to me, but I just knew they had something. Within 2 months of being with these friends, there was something about them. They had a joy, they had a radiance. They just struck me that they had something. And I visited, went back to them, and this girl, anyway, she became a Christian. Her life totally changed, totally transformed. A light came into her life, into her eyes, and I was just hooked. I wanted to know, what is it that changed her? One day she said to me, "Why don't you come to church?" Went to the church that Sunday night. I saw a whole room full of people, all with hands in the air. I was religious all my life, and I felt like a total stranger among a group of people who all had something I didn't have. I felt so lonely. I went home, went to my bedroom, considered where my life was going, concerned about, okay, if I do this Christian thing, as I thought, how's it going to affect my life, my footballing mates, what are they going to think? And that was going through my head. And again, I just weighed my life in the balance and thought, my life does not work. And I just reached up to heaven and said, if you're there, please come into my life. And I just felt so much weight come off me. It was like years and years of weight. I was 30 years of age at that stage, and really, really tired of doing it my way. From then on, I've never looked back. Inside, I was totally changed. I had a purpose, I had a vision. I was excited about life. My fear of dying was gone. I was just bubbling up inside, and I wanted to explode, and I just wanted to tell everybody, this is what life is about, knowing God and knowing. I learned about His salvation is free. I learned, why didn't I see that years before? That I didn't have to do it myself. It was all done for me. And the bonus was that I could sense God's presence in my life, but also that I was now looking at life from an eternity focus. And I honestly have never looked back since then. 34 years later, I am still excited back then, and even more so about what God has done in my life, because He's real, He's living, and it's there from everybody. It's a free gift.